Hey folks, Nick here from Another BookTube channel. Today, story time. The time that CGC damaged one of my comic books. A while back, or not too long ago, I did a video on unpopular opinions where I asked you guys for your unpopular book or comic opinions. And somebody raised an opinion about CGC, talking about how they don't like graded comics at all. It defeats the purpose of owning comic books. Um, and I agreed with a lot of that. You can go and watch that video for the full unpopular opinion and my full response. But part of my response, I mentioned that I don't use CGC anymore or any grading company because they damaged one of my books. And I asked, if you guys are interested in hearing more about that story, to let me know. A couple people did reach out asking about it. So I figured now's the time. I'll just tell you a little bit about what happened. And I'm going to, before I get into it, CGC has a lot of really adamant supporters. And if they find their way to this video, they're going to start going into the comments and demanding where's the picture evidence? How do we know it wasn't damaged? How can we take you at your word? How you're going to throw a company under the bus like this? I'm going to just say now, I don't care. I don't need to prove anything to you. I'm not asking for financial restitution. I'm not even saying you should boycott CGC. This is just the story of something that happened to me, truthfully, and it's the reason that I don't use them anymore. And if you don't believe it, that's whatever. I don't care. This is just story time. Now, the book in question is Batman Adventures 12, The First Appearance of Harley Quinn. It's a newsstand copy that I bought raw off of eBay maybe 5 years ago now. I honestly don't remember. But it was in great shape, and Harley Quinn is one of my favorite characters, probably my second favorite comic book character behind Swamp Thing. And I was really happy to own the book. I decided to get it graded because at that time I was big into key collecting and comic book grading and all that. So I sent it to CGC and it came back a 9.2. Wow, wonderful. Now, a keen eye observer will notice that it's no longer that, it's a 7.5. What happened? Well, that's the mystery, isn't it? So it came back at 9.2. Lovely. I kept it on display on a shelf for years after that. Out of direct sunlight. I don't have to worry about it fading or anything. But yeah, I just kept it on display for a while. Over the years, my collecting habits changed, and I was falling out of love with grading comics in general. I think that the more results that I would see back from CGC and CBCS to a lesser extent, the more just fake everything seemed. The assignment of a numerical grade to a comic book, it just felt more and more of a scam to me. There was way too much subjectivity. I'd see 9.8s coming back with spine ticks and stains. I'd see books that are coming back as 7.0 that should be in the 9s. It started to feel like a scam, and I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It felt like a waste of money, especially because I fell out of key collecting, and I fell in love with the hobby of actually reading comic books again. And so I started buying books that I didn't want to slab. I wanted to read them. So I was already kind of on the outs with getting stuff graded. But then CGC announced an in-house signing. And I was doing the in-house signings when they popped up once in a while. I did one for Kevin Eastman where I got a Turtles book. I actually did it twice for Kevin Eastman. I got a sign and sketch on the Michelangelo one-shot, and I got my Turtles #1 third printing signed by him. So I was doing that stuff. And they announced one for Paul Dini, the creator of Harley Quinn. And I thought, you know what? That's a signature that you don't get. Paul Dini doesn't do conventions. I wasn't going to be able to get it on my own. So this is a great opportunity. Let me send in my Batman Adventures 12, and I'll get the creator of Harley Quinn on the book. Sounds like a great deal. Now, at this stage in my life, I had heard horror stories about people letting CGC handle their books, like crack it out of the case on their own. So I decided to do it myself. Now, and again, if you're a CGC fanatic, you're going to say, "Oh, why you cracked it on your own? You damaged it. You damaged it." No, no. I don't know if you've ever tried to crack a CGC case on your own, but it is remarkably easy. It is so easy. It is very, very, very difficult to do it in a way where you're going to actually damage your book. The cases themselves, all you need to do is just pop a screwdriver in the top right here. Here, I'll show you. You pop a screwdriver in the top up here, away from the comic, and if you need a little hammer, you just get a little bit of separation in there, and then once you have a little bit, you just pop it. It just pops right out. These two halves come apart, easy as pie. The comic book itself is inside of like a vacuum sealed well that you just cut around the edges, and it just comes right out. So you think, oh wow, well, such amazing like protection. There's no way a book can get damaged in one of these cases. Well, I go ahead and I crack my comic out of the case, and as I'm doing so, I crack it out of the case, and I'm looking at it in the little vacuum sealed packet, and I see on the top back edge there is a very noticeable crease there that I never saw before because it's on the back. I'm not looking at the back of the book; I look at the front, and I say, "What the hell is that?" So I cut it out of the thing, and I take it out, and there is a really bad crease, as though something like pushed the top of the book, and it like bent it back a little bit. Where did this come from? This book has been sealed on my shelf for 4 years. It wasn't there when I got it graded, otherwise it wouldn't have gotten a 9.2. So what happened? I don't know. The only thing that could have happened is that they graded it whoever did it graded at 9.2, and then when they sent it off to get actually encapsulated, it must have gotten hurt there. So somebody must have grabbed it in a way, or it got pushed into the actual well and it bent. Something must have happened at that transference point, because there's no other time it could have happened. It didn't happen when I cracked it. It wasn't there when I sent it away. And it wasn't there when they got it graded, because then why would it be a 9.2 in the first place? So what can I do? I mean, I didn't take pictures of every single inch of this comic over the past 5 years, because I'm not insane. I'm a normal human being. I knew, because I know that because I cracked it on my own, CGC wasn't going to do anything about this, because they're going to fall back on, since you cracked it, we can't prove that it was the same book. All right. I understand that. I'm not asking for financial restitution here. This is just what happened. This is just the reality of what happened. At some point, while they were handling the book, it got damaged. So before I sent it in for the Paul Dini signing, I got it pressed locally here. Somebody that I've used before, that with great results. And I thought it actually looked pretty good. I thought that he did a really good job of getting most of it out. But sure enough, it came back a 7.5, and on the grader notes it mentioned crease on top edge. It also mentioned light fading to color, which is bullshit, because this thing looks perfect. This thing looks exactly like it came off the shelf in terms of colors. That's completely ridiculous. And if nothing else, that's another reason I'm done with them, because of this. Anyway, that's not what this is about. But I guess it didn't come out enough. They graded it 7.5. So that's a pretty significant grade drop that they caused. In my eyes, they caused it. And if you were somebody who was in resale, if you were getting Grade's book to sell them, you'd be furious, rightfully. For me, this is a book that's in my personal collection. Does it sting? Does it hurt? Absolutely, because I thought the whole point of getting a book encapsulated was to preserve it. And yet the company that preserves it damaged it. It was better off staying just in my care and never leaving my site. And so for that reason, never again. I don't care who they get for an in-house signing. I don't care if they revive Jack Kirby and bring him back to life and have him do a signing. I'm not sending a thing ever back to CGC. Um, theoretically, I could use CBCS, but again, I don't. I think grading and assigning the numerical grade is a scam, and I just don't feel comfortable having sending a book away and having it be handled by people not in front of me because of what happened here. So that's why I don't send books to get graded anymore. Whether you believe me or not, I don't care. I don't have to prove anything to you. This is just the story of what happened. I hope you found it interesting. Let me know if you've had any horror stories with CGC, or if this made you decide to not use them anymore. Whatever. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for spending some time with me today. But now it's time to get back to reading.